We have our mysterious ancient knight confirmed on a new Abeshi illustration, and just like I theorized last week, Edith Synthesis 10 from Sword Online Unleashed Blading has been officially canonized in SAO 28 Unital Ring VII. But that does not mean Unleashed Blading suddenly becomes canon here, especially with all the contradicting information we have. We're basically looking at a clean slate Edith here. Welcome SAO survivors, and let's go through all the information you'll need regarding our newest addition to the Order of the Integrity Knights. First off, if you already know her from Unleashed Blading, then yes, this will be the Edith Synthesis 10 you know and love from Unleashed Blading. Her personality will be as cheerful and bubbly as ever, however you'll need to forget about every relationship or bond she had with other characters entirely. But for those who do not know, Edith Synthesis 10, or as the localization of the game that translated Grunts of Dragons into take this and take that says, Eydis Synthesis 10, is quite the old Integrity Knight as the number 10. Scheta Synthesis 12 is stated to be over 100 years old, and Fanatio Synthesis 2 in comparison is over 130. This puts Edith to be around 105-110 years old during the Alicization arc, so in Unital Ring she's over 310, which means her entire backstory is fully intact. She used to live in a small village in the East Avarieth East Empire with her cute little sister Mary. Edith loved her little sister, which is also where her instinctive love for cute things originates from as a core pillar of her personality. However, Mary had a lame foot and was not active a lot due to the pain it caused her. As a result, Edith took care of her as much as possible, but also wanted to give her a taste of the adventures she liked to have, a taste of the outside world she could never visit. She never told Mary, of course, but she was in fact searching for a way to cure her illness in these adventures. On one such expedition to search for the legendary guardian dragon of the East, she reached an impassable swamp and decided to call it a day for the night. However, she's woken up by a spider, presumably Charlotte, who predates all the Integrity Knights and barely managed to escape a flood coming from the swamp thanks to the little spider. She then encountered the spider numerous times, even after returning back to her village, and unknown to her, it was actually Cardinal tracking her for her potentially high violation index. The explanation for the violation index goes all the way back to Kirtan Cardinal's talk at the Great Library that I will spare you. These are basically individuals she tracked that may serve useful to her against Quinella, but Quinella also sees the threat in these people and wants to keep them in check. In fact, most Integrity Knights are people with high violation index, for example. But going back to our backstory with Edith, one day after sharing her adventures to Mary and putting her to bed, Edith prays to Stacia to help her find a way to cure Mary, and that in pursuit of that goal, she was prepared to even break a taboo to achieve it. The moment such a mention gets made, of course, the Senate pinpoints it, and just hours later, Bercouli Synthesis 1 appears at her doorstep to apprehend her. She was synthesized and turned into Edith Synthesis 10 shortly after. That entire backstory most certainly stays exactly the same. Whether it'll be mentioned in the books or not for people to experience, that I do not know. Another bit of backstory that may remain intact in the canon is her attempt to make friends with Scheta Synthesis 12, which may eventually be referenced if and when Scheta is woken up in the Obsidia Palace too. You see, Integrity Knights often are put through a certain memory maintenance, but Scheta was put through to deep sleep on her own request because she sliced up another Integrity Knight in a sparring session and thus began to fear her curse. Because she was put to sleep upon her own request and not by the order of Quinella to be fixed, she is one of the rare Integrity Knights who likely have a more thorough memory of her time as an Integrity Knight, which includes the short amount of time she got to spend with Edith, unlike most other Integrity Knights. Now, as I said, these are pretty much guaranteed to remain as her backstory. However, anything that happens after will most certainly be removed entirely, and this is because she is one of the 7 ancient knights. These were the knights that were brought into maintenance, which admittedly could cause Edith to not remember anyone either, it's within the realm of possibility, and were in deep freeze throughout the entire Alicization arc. This is the first time Edith is being woken up in over 200 years. And this means she never met Alice, and Alice did not meet her. This means Edith was not there to help Alice when Kirito and Yujiro were raiding the Central Cathedral. This means Edith did not exist during War of Underworld, she never avenged Lipia, she never partook in any of the battles, she never met Kirito. And most importantly, this means Edith never broke the seal of the right eye. All because she needed to be put to sleep before all of these events per the Ancient Knights canon. However, therein lies the perfect opportunity to seamlessly add her into the canon in return. Back in Unleashed Blading, at a certain point in her training as an Integrity Knight, like she did with everyone, Quinella gave Edith a task to obtain her divine weapon. She sent her to the Vestarath Empire to obtain a divine object from the bottom of a lake that sees no light of Solace, swallowed in pure darkness. She obtains this object and Quinella forges it into the Dark Slash sword. With the divine weapon in her possession now, Edith is then tasked with mastering her memory release ability. Quinella is shown to be particularly curious whether Edith will be able to control it or if she'll be consumed by it. On an expedition with Bercouli, she finally activates the memory of the sword. However, the darkness and cold triggers her sealed memories of Mary, which quickly causes Edith to go absolute berserk. She starts attacking everyone in sight, the enemy goblins as well as Bercouli. At this point, Cardinal reaches out to her with Charlotte and apologizes for putting a flag on her head in the first place by observing her as a potential ally. She takes the responsibility of her being found by Quinella and manages to calm Edith down by telling her she will at least do her best to take care of Mary, which causes Edith to eventually pass out. Back in Central Cathedral in Unleashed Blading, Quinella simply forbids her from using her memory abilities when allies are nearby, but the opportunity we have here is that the main canon can utilize the more pragmatic side of Quinella here. After all, Edith just got completely consumed by her memory release ability and even turned against her commander. I imagine in the main series, this event will remain canon, but the result of this event will be that Quinella put Edith to deep freeze with this incident and left her in that state. And waking up over 200 years later, this also poses a great subplot of sorts for Edith's character to grow, a particularly useful one for those who never played Unleashed Blading. If she was put to sleep as a result of this incident, that means she has not yet mastered her perfect weapon control art and can both be a great asset as well as a significant liability if she loses control. A powerful double-edged sword is always a good aspect to feature in a story, and I hope this is the path Reiki has taken with Sword Online Volume 28, Unital Ring VII. Links to all Sword Online light novels, manga and games will be in the description down below under the like button, and make sure to check out my Teespring page for lovely SAO themed channel merch. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more in-depth SAO content. Until next time, which will likely be about Mito in about a week, stay cool.